Hey there, welcome to the Blue Sky Sanctuary. That's my property in the Baja in Mexico. It's also my YouTube channel where I've been sharing a lot of what I've been up to here over the last handful of years. And before I get into today's topic, I want to thank you so much for all of your comments. Not just the positive, encouraging ones, which I super appreciate, thank you so much, but also the negative ones and the hurtful ones, because really, all of the comments are giving me ideas to make new videos, because without your feedback and you sharing your thoughts and feelings, I might run out of things to talk about. So please keep them coming. Even if they're negative, I can handle it. I'm going to talk about that later. But today's video is basically about how I came to be living mortgage-free in Mexico, in a lovely neighborhood, in a lovely, comfy little home, before the age of 50. So let me reach way back to my younger years where I was just coming out of high school. I went right to work. I didn't go to college or university. I didn't know what I wanted to do really. And also there wasn't a lot of money there for me to go to school. And I certainly didn't have the savings aside to go to school. So I went to work. I spent a bit of time at a shoe store. I worked at the Brick and just some administrative jobs until I found myself working for a salesman, and this job ended up turning into a career that spanned my entire 20s. So I worked for him as his assistant, I handled his paperwork, and then I was arranging sales calls for him, and then I was doing my own sales calls and splitting the commission with him, and ultimately I earned my own territory and was an independent sales rep. That was my official title. And making my own hours, doing my own thing with my own territory in my mid-20s, making pretty darn good money, especially for someone who hadn't any post-secondary education. So what that empowered me to do was start saving money. And there's a program in Canada where you're incentivized to put money into your RRSPs, Registered Retirement Savings Plans, and it's tax sheltered money. So that saves you from paying income tax on that money each year. So all through my 20s, putting money into my RRSPs, by the time I was in my early 30s, I had about $35,000 saved. And the beauty of that program is that you can then use those RRSPs to put a down payment on a house, and again, it's tax sheltered. So you get to pull that money out, it's not taxed, and you put it as your down payment, and it empowers you to buy a house, which is what I did in my early 30s. At that time, I also took my first big leap of faith and left that sales job and became a full-time yoga teacher against the advice of the people around me, because I had a really good paying job and I had freedom and I was accumulating assets. I had 2 vehicles at the time, one for business and one for pleasure, because the business one was a full write-off, and I was just living pretty comfortably and pretty well. But my life was centered around work, and that work wasn't very fulfilling, and I really wanted to feel more fulfilled. So I put myself through yoga teacher's training for a year and a half, and I moved across the country and became a full-time yoga teacher, which didn't pay that well. And so it was really good that I had saved over the years in my 20s, and I used those savings to basically subsidize my income while I was establishing myself as a yoga teacher in British Columbia. I bought my house thanks to that RRSP plan, and I owned that house for 9 years. So for the better part of my 30s, I had a mortgage and a house to take care of, and I didn't love it. But what it allowed me to do after 9 years was sell it and cash out. And I made roughly 90,000 Canadian dollars, which I knew would be enough to buy property in Mexico and to build myself a little shack. I didn't care how small it was. Maybe I was even going to live in my camper for years to come. I didn't care. I just wanted to get to Mexico and live and see what I could accomplish. And so that's what I did. And that's where the channel picks up, which is in 2018 when I purchased my property here. That was $20,000 US roughly. And I built my house for roughly $40,000 US. And then the market kind of enticed me to sell what I'd created, which was this labor of love. I never had any intention to sell what I created here, but it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. And my neighbor sold his place, and when I found out what he sold it for, I was like, gosh, like I should probably do that too. So I did, and I purchased another piece of property that same year, 2022, in this great neighborhood, and built almost the identical house, but this one's actually finished, and it's off-grid. And that is how I came to be where I am, owning my property outright. I'm mortgage-free and under 50 years old. It is not because my parents were rich, but what they did give me was financial responsibility, basically financial independence. They taught me at a very young age how to be financially responsible. And that is one of the big takeaways that I hope to impart in this video, is the importance of financial responsibility. If you have big goals in your life and you want to, say, get mortgage free earlier in life, or you want to retire earlier in life, one of the key elements that's going to help you get there is to be financially responsible and to not waste your money on things like, buying fast food every day, or buying more clothing than you need, or having more hair appointments than you need, or there's so many ways to waste money. But basically, growing up, we never were given allowance. We were taught how to make money and manage our money from as early as I can remember. My brother and sister and I, we all had paper routes, and you would go collect from your customers and you'd actually have cash, and I'd learn how to save that cash to get what I wanted. And that has definitely shown up in my life many times, where I have saved and earned something myself, and the gratification that I felt from that makes me want to do it again and again. So I thank my parents for teaching me how to be financially responsible. If you need help with that, hit me up in the comments, or go find yourself a financial advisor and start saving your money, because there's no amount too small. A couple of dollars a day, if you just stop getting that coffee at Starbucks and you put that money into a bank account. I didn't get to be living in Mexico mortgage free overnight. It was really the better part of 25 years, almost 30 years for me to get here. All of my 20s in sales, saving that money. All of my 30s owning a house, paying down the mortgage, and then getting paid out at the end of that after 9 years, and then coming here and purchasing that property, and then also choosing to sell it. That's what got me to where I am. So it wasn't quick, and I hope for your sake that you can find a way that will be much quicker and easier than the route that I took. But the essential components that got me here that might help you get to where you want to go would be being financially responsible. Be careful with your money. Number 2, don't over listen to people's opinions about what you want to do. Whatever life you want to have, wherever you want to live, whatever job you want to have, however you want to be, trust your own intuition, listen to your own heart, and go after it. Because really, you've got to live with yourself at the end of the day. And if I had let people's opinions steer my life, I'd probably still be back in Ontario working a sales job. There's going to be people around us that don't really see our vision or feel it or even understand it, and that's okay. I don't know what your dream is. If you want to share it in the comments, I'd love to hear it, but I just want to help you get there. So, right, number 1, financial responsibility. Number 2, don't over listen to other people's opinions. Don't let them project their fears onto you. And number 3, I would say do something, I want to say every day, to work towards your goal. But if that's unrealistic, even 5 days a week, whether that's, as you're going to bed at night, just to close your eyes, envision your dream life to the point that you can feel it and it feels really good inside. That makes a difference. Just giving it that time and that energy and focus and feeling. Beyond that, then talking to people about it, telling them what your plans are, telling people what you're going to do. Don't keep it a secret. As you say it out loud, it'll empower you to take action and move towards the vision that you have. And yes, you might get some fear response from people. You might get some doubting. You might get some, they'll try to steer you another direction or keep you where they are, or whatever the case may be. But you've got to learn to take that all with a grain of salt. I have certainly had to learn that on the channel here. I'm now open to our worldwide community, and I get plenty of comments that are filled with fear and people talking about you couldn't pay them enough to live in Mexico. But does that send me home to Canada? Absolutely not. It actually just makes me want to explain more why I'm here, what I'm doing, and what my priorities are. And we don't all feel the same. We're all unique human individuals, and we all are different, which is ideal, because if we all wanted to live in Mexico, there'd be a problem. If we all wanted to live in Canada or the States, there'd be a problem. So it's perfect that we all have different visions and different dreams. And I hope that this video helps you to move towards yours. There is a quote that I love, which is, if you know how to meet your goal, it's not a big enough goal. And I believe that, right? Just think of the next handful of steps and take those steps. And once you've taken them, the next few steps will get more clear as to how you will navigate them. So take your steps and you will eventually get there. It might take you a decade. It might take you 2 decades. It took me more than 2.5 decades, but I got here. I hope this video inspires you and motivates you. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you again on the next video. Bye for now.